following the failed insurrection of the mercenary forces leader Yevgeny Prigozhin in June. Some of its members are said to have relocated to Belarus. Without giving more details regarding their mission or expected duration of stay, Alexander Lukashenko announced on Friday that the Russian mercenary group Wagner would stay in Belarus. The Belarusian president declared, "Wagner is alive and will live in Belarus," adding that the hardcore of the army would remain under a plan he built with its chief. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of Wagner, is said to have perished in a plane accident on Wednesday, sparking rumors that the Kremlin was behind the catastrophe. The private jet appears to have crashed north of Moscow, killing all 10 passengers on board, including numerous more prominent Wagner officials. Although he was not to be able to say who was in charge, Lukashenko stated that he did not think his Russian counterpart had given the order to assassinate Prigozhin. According to Lukashenko, "I know Vladimir Putin, Belta," the official state news agency reported. "He is a calm, thoughtful man. I find it hard to believe he was the one who did that." The Belarusian president went on to say that the crash was too brutal and amateur, and he revealed his ambitions to maintain 10,000 mercenaries in Belarus. Moscow has reacted to accusations that it gave the go-ahead for Prigozhin's murder, who led a revolt against an inept military institution. The Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, on Friday refuted claims made by Western officials that Putin planned the incident. "It's an absolute lie. We must approach this problem based on facts," he further stated. According to Russian authorities, the crash's cause is being looked into. Putin, meanwhile, signed a directive on Friday, mandating his troops to swear allegiance to Russia, just like regular army personnel do. They are required to vow fidelity and loyalty to the state, and strictly follow the orders of commanders and superiors under this edict, which is described in full on the government website. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Prigozhin and his close friends were likely targeted by the Russian government as the last step to eliminate Wagner as an independent organization. The Russian president referred to Prigozhin's brief uprising against the Kremlin on June 24 as treason and a stab in the back, and vowed to exact revenge. The mercenary army was exiled to Belarus as part of a covert agreement, with longtime Putin friend Lukashenko serving as the mediator. Soon after, the allegations against Prigozhin were withdrawn. The British Ministry of Defense stated on Friday that there is currently no definitive proof that Prigozhin was killed. Prigozhin is known to exercise exceptional security measures, but there is still no concrete evidence that he was on board, the statement read. The likelihood that he is actually dead, nevertheless, is very strong. The UK MOD cited Prigozhin's hyperactivity, exceptional audacity, drive for results, and extreme brutality in claiming that his death would almost certainly have a deeply destabilizing effect on the force. These are unlikely to be matched by any successor, it continued. On Thursday, after maintaining mute about what had transpired, Putin lauded the mercenary leader as a talented man. He apologized to the families of those who were reportedly on board the flight and mentioned serious mistakes made by Prigozhin. Why multiple senior Wagner officials, including top executives who are always extremely cautious about their security, were on the same trip was unclear. They had traveled to St. Petersburg together, but no one knew why. The victims would need to be identified by DNA, according to several Russian social media sites, because they had been burned or damaged beyond recognition. Independent Russian media outlets picked up on these stories, but the Associated Press was unable to independently verify them. Dr. Stephen Hall, a lecturer in Russian politics at the University of Bath, asserted that the jet crash was a message in an interview with Euronews on Thursday. "Putin sends signals to people," he declared. "This is a pretty clear indication that this is what happens to traitors," the author said. "Some elites are unhappy with the way the war is going. By executing Prigozhin, It sends a message that if you rebel, your end would be harsh, continued Hall. Russian nationalist and patriotic organizations are speaking out more frequently against their government's military effort in Ukraine, frequently criticizing it for poor leadership and mishandled fighting maneuvers. In previous apparent murder attempts, many of Putin's detractors and opponents have been killed or seriously injured.